The autumn rain hammered against the cracked windows of the abandoned textile mill as 12-year-old Marcus Chen crouched behind a rusted loom, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might give him away. He'd been hiding for what felt like hours, though his watch, a gift from his late grandfather, told him only 20 minutes had passed since everything went wrong. Marcus hadn't meant to stumble into this nightmare. He'd only been cutting through the old industrial district on his way home from his violin lesson, trying to avoid the bullies who waited for him near the regular route. The shortcut seemed like a good idea, until he heard voices echoing from inside the supposedly empty building. Curiosity had always been Marcus's weakness. His mother said it would get him in trouble someday. Today, she was right. Through a gap in the machinery, he'd witnessed 3 men unloading crates from a white van. But these weren't ordinary crates. Even from his hiding spot, Marcus could see the labels: hazardous materials, toxic waste, industrial solvents. The men were dumping barrels into the building's old drainage system, the same system that fed directly into the river that supplied water to half the city. "That's the last of it," one man had said, wiping his brow. "Boss says we've got 6 more sites to hit tonight. These idiots at City Hall will never trace it back to Meridian Industries." Marcus's breath had caught audibly, and that's when everything changed. One of the men, a tall figure with a scar across his cheek, had turned sharply. "Did you hear something?" Now Marcus was trapped, watching through the machinery as the men searched the building. His phone was in his backpack, but he didn't dare move to reach it. One wrong sound and they'd find him. Then he heard it, barking in the distance. The police K-9 unit conducted routine patrols through this area. Marcus had seen them before, had even stopped once to watch the beautiful German Shepherd demonstrate her training. An idea formed in his mind, desperate, unlikely, but his only chance. Officer Sarah Rodriguez guided Luna through their patrol route, the Belgian Malinois moving with practiced precision beside her. 7 years as a K-9 officer had taught Sarah to trust her partner's instincts above all else. Luna had saved her life twice, and had helped recover evidence in more than 60 cases. "Just another quiet Monday," Sarah muttered, though something felt off. Luna's ears kept swiveling toward the old mill district, and the dog's pace had slowed. Then Luna stopped completely, her body going rigid in that particular way that meant she detected something. "What is it, girl?" Sarah asked, scanning the area. The abandoned mills stood silent in the rain, their broken windows like empty eyes staring back at her. Luna barked once, sharp and insistent, then started pulling toward the largest building, the old Riverside textile mill. Sarah reached for her radio, but before she could call it in, she saw something that made her freeze. A small figure appeared briefly in one of the mill's doorways, a child, maybe 11 or 12, who made a series of quick, deliberate hand gestures before vanishing back inside. Sarah's blood ran cold. She recognized those gestures. Her nephew was deaf, and she'd learned basic sign language to communicate with him. The child had signed, "Danger. Help. 3 men. Poison." She immediately radioed for backup, keeping her voice low. "This is Unit 12. Possible hostage situation at Riverside Mill. Child involved. Requesting immediate backup and hazmat team. Suspect chemical dumping in progress. Copy that, Unit 12. Backup en route. ETA 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Sarah looked at Luna, who was trembling with alertness, her eyes fixed on the building. 7 minutes could be a lifetime for a child in danger. Inside, Marcus heard the radio chatter echo faintly from outside and nearly cried with relief. She'd understood. The officer had understood his signs. He'd learned them from his best friend Emma, who'd been teaching him ASL for the past year. It had seemed like just a fun thing to learn together. Now it might save his life, but the men had heard the barking too. "Cops," the scarred man hissed. Someone called the cops. "Impossible," another replied. "There's no one here. It's probably just a routine patrol. We can't risk it. Torch the place. Destroy the evidence. We move now." Marcus's relief transformed to terror, as he saw one of the men pull out a container of accelerant. They were going to burn the building down, with him still inside. He had to move. Now, Marcus burst from his hiding spot, sprinting toward the rear exit he'd spotted earlier. Shouts erupted behind him. Footsteps thundered across the concrete floor. There's a kid. Grab him." He saw everything. Marcus's fingers closed around the rusty door handle just as a hand gripped his shoulder. He screamed, a sound of pure terror that echoed through the cavernous space. Outside, Luna heard that scream and didn't wait for permission. The dog exploded into motion, her powerful legs eating up the distance to the building. Sarah ran after her, drawing her weapon, heart hammering with the desperate prayer that they wouldn't be too late. Luna hit the door like a furry missile, her 90 pounds of muscle and determination smashing through the rotted wood. Sarah followed seconds later, weapon raised, and took in the scene, a terrified child struggling in a man's grip, two other men reaching for their own weapons, and the overwhelming smell of chemicals and accelerant. Police? Freeze. Let the child go. The scarred man made the mistake of going for his gun. Luna was on him before he could clear the holster, her jaws clamping onto his arm with precision born of years of training. His weapon clattered away as he screamed. The man holding Marcus shoved the boy forward and ran for the opposite exit. Sarah fired a warning shot into the ceiling. Don't move. But the third man had already lit a flare, dropping it near a puddle of accelerant. Flames erupted with a whoosh that stole the oxygen from Sarah's lungs. Luna, out. Out. Sarah grabbed Marcus, pulling him toward the exit as fire raced across the floor. Luna released her suspect and bounded after them. They burst into the rain-soaked evening just as backup arrived. 6 patrol cars, and a fire truck screaming into the lot. Sarah kept running, pulling Marcus with her, until they were well clear of the building. Behind them, flames consumed the old mill, black smoke billowing into the darkening sky. Marcus sat wrapped in a blanket in the back of the ambulance while paramedics checked him over. Luna lay at his feet, her chin resting on his shoe, as if standing guard over her rescued charge. You saved my life, Marcus said quietly, reaching down to stroke the dog's soft ears. Luna's tail thumped against the ambulance floor. You saved a lot more than that, Sarah said, crouching beside them. The hazmat team tested those barrels. Industrial toxins, illegal waste from Meridian Industries. If they'd dumped all of it into the river system. She shook her head. You saved thousands of people, Marcus. Maybe more. I just didn't want people to get hurt, Marcus said. My mom always says we have to stand up when we see something wrong, even if it's scary. But I was really scared. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared, Sarah told him. It means doing the right thing even when you are scared. You were very brave today. Luna was braver, Marcus insisted. She ran into the fire for me. Sarah smiled and ruffled Luna's ears. She's a pretty special partner. But she wouldn't have known to come if you hadn't signaled me. That was incredibly smart thinking. Where did you learn sign language? My best friend Emma is teaching me. She's deaf. Marcus managed a small smile. She's going to be so excited when I tell her it helped save the day. Well, you make sure to thank her for me, Sarah said. Her lessons meant we got to you in time. Marcus's mother arrived then, tears streaming down her face as she gathered her son into her arms. Sarah stepped back to give them privacy, watching as the family reunited. Luna pressed against her leg, and Sarah reached down to scratch behind the dog's ears. Good girl, she whispered. Very good girl. The next morning, Marcus stood outside City Hall beside Luna and Officer Rodriguez, facing a crowd of reporters and cameras. The police chief presented him with a civilian commendation for bravery. The mayor shook his hand and announced that, thanks to Marcus's actions, authorities had shut down an illegal dumping operation that had been poisoning the city's water supply for months. Representatives from Meridian Industries, including several executives, had been arrested. The EPA was investigating dozens of other potential sites. This young man showed extraordinary courage and quick thinking, the mayor said. He reminds us all that heroes come in every age, and that standing up for what's right can make a real difference. But for Marcus, the best part came after the ceremony. The K-9 unit invited him for a special tour, where he got to watch Luna and the other police dogs demonstrate their skills. Luna performed flawlessly, as always, but afterward she trotted over to Marcus and dropped a tennis ball at his feet. She wants you to play with her, Sarah said, grinning. She doesn't do that for just anyone. You've made a friend for life. Marcus threw the ball, and Luna bounded after it with pure joy. For a moment, the terror of the previous day faded, replaced by the simple happiness of a boy and a dog playing in the autumn sunshine. That evening, at dinner with his mother and grandmother, Marcus was quieter than usual. His mother noticed, as mothers do. What are you thinking about, sweetheart? Marcus looked up from his plate. I was thinking about what Officer Rodriguez said. About being brave even when you're scared. He paused. I was really, really scared yesterday, Mom. I thought I was going to die. His mother reached across the table and took his hand. I know, baby. I know. And I'm so proud of you for doing the right thing anyway. Emma told me something once, Marcus continued. She said that being different, like her being deaf, taught her that there are lots of ways to communicate, and sometimes the quiet ways are the most powerful. I think that's what happened yesterday. I couldn't call for help, but I found another way. His grandmother smiled, her eyes misty. Your grandfather would have been so proud of you, Marcus. He always said that the measure of a person isn't what they do when it's easy, but what they do when it's hard. You measured up, my boy. You measured up. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the school auditorium, accepting an award from the Environmental Protection Agency. But he'd made a request. that Luna and Officer Rodriguez be there too, and that his best friend Emma be allowed to stand with him on stage. When the director asked him to say a few words, Marcus stepped to the microphone. With Emma beside him, he spoke, and she translated into sign language, her hands flowing gracefully through the air. I learned something important that day at the mill, Marcus said. I learned that we're all responsible for taking care of each other and our world. I learned that being different, speaking different languages, having different abilities, doesn't make us weak. It makes us strong, because we can help each other in ways others can't. And I learned that sometimes the smallest voice, even a silent one, can make the biggest difference. I also learned that dogs are the best partners anyone could ask for, he added with a grin, and the audience laughed. Luna, sitting at attention beside Sarah in the front row, barked once as if in agreement, and the laughter grew warmer. But most importantly, Marcus finished, his voice growing serious, I learned that when you see something wrong, you can't just walk away. Even if you're scared. Even if you're just one person. Even if you're just a kid. Because doing nothing is a choice too, and it's not the choice that helps people. We all have the power to make a difference. We just have to be brave enough to try. The applause was thunderous. But as Marcus left the stage, what he remembered most was the feeling of Luna's nose pressed into his palm, and the weight of Officer Rodriguez's hand on his shoulder, and Emma's proud smile as she signed, "You did good, friend. You did really good."